So there has been quite a lot of different, group identities, that has taken place and formed out of this more post-modernistic era, And one reason too that these, like let's say veganism and stuff has been actually accepted, as a form of phenomena and just identities, by the, legal systems and these things. It is because, they are sort of creating further forms of consumerism, and because as, for example, vegans, consuming certain products, it creates a form of market, even if it maybe is niched, like smaller than mass productional forms of markets and everything. So that is quite interesting, because how can you, if you are not really a fan of capitalism, in the sense, like in the modernistic form of capitalism, how can you sort of avoid become a consumer group, especially when it comes to these products, that are produced for vegans and all these things, because there is probably certain value-based identities that are kind of beneficial, for example, environmental reasons, So let's say people who are vegans, they have almost zero meat consumption, which is good for the environment. But on the other hand, they are also making themselves into a target of consumerism and a new market, of exploitation, So they're becoming, in one way exploited by the fact that they are putting themselves in that category. As well, like there are some people saying that so let's take not only veganism but like equality, there is this sort of talking about equality and with but not without feminism, and now I talk about westernized feminism, and that's also a form of categorizing of not just values but like identities, because people who takes on these identities, they have they have like their own motivations and all these things to why they do it, and very rare, is there this perspective on whether or not it is relating to any form of capitalistic market exploitation, so it's kind of hard, to, especially also these postmodernistic types of spiritual expressions, like they have all kinds of varieties, which are very eclectic, in their mixture, what to call it, because they are sort of splitting apart traditional based, and now tradition is in itself a newly invented kind of word, but they're splitting apart other forms of traditions and taking an eclectic type of mix of practices which are not permanent sustained practiced, just like for a shorter time period, and I was just thinking, because the more you sort of applying these identity concepts such as being vegan or whatever, it sort of is infusing that market of consumerism. And of course, yes, it's good like to have some options other than let's say meat and stuff, but it still is not It's not great as long as it is, because because it is done in order to support the modern capitalism. So this is what I'm writing on, and I need to sort of process these things, getting them into some form of cohesive form of mass of paper, So I will see how that goes. But yeah, I think I'm going to end here because I am just gonna go and have lunch now. And I'm going to continue with this.